Hello there and welcome to this week's edition of Crazy Critique. The newest released cinematic film that I saw this week is the newest film from Jesse Eisenberg and Kristen Stewart, and that film is of course American Ultra. I'm going to go straight into exactly what the plot of this film is, and it's not going to be spoilers because you very quickly find out what is going on. The film entails Eisenberg and Stewart, who appear to be a slacker stoner couple living in a sleepy rural American town. But obviously, all is not what it seems, and it turns out that Eisenberg himself is a sleeper agent of a experimental government program, and a rival of another experimental agent. Super agent program is going to eliminate all of the agents from this other program, of which Eisenberg is one. So yeah, spy, sleeper agent, government agent sort of films. There's been plenty of these sorts of films, hasn't there, in this last year. Let's just go through some of the list first of all, because we've had Kingsman, the Secret Service. We've had Spy, obviously the Mr. McCarthy one. We've also had Mission Impossible 5, and we've just had The Man from U.N.C.L.E. as well. And to come still, we obviously have Spectre, the newest James Bond film, and we have Steven Spielberg's spy film, The Bridge of Spies. What is going on with the genre of spy or agent films? They've completely suddenly peaked, haven't they? Maybe it's a bit more of a paranoia, maybe from this current age of, I don't know, the environment that we're experiencing at the moment. But spy movies are on a comeback, with differing results, it must be said. Kingsman, I really enjoyed. Mission Impossible, I really enjoyed. Man from U.N.C.L.E. was quite meh about. And Spy had its moments. Not brilliant, but had its moments. So, the question I'm going to ask is, am I all spied out? Because in just over the last month now, I've seen 3 spy films. And whether that contributed to me not really enjoying this film as much as I have other films of its kind, or whether it is just the fact that this sort of film is a laboured result in a way of some themes of the Bourne films, and certainly the violent aspects of the comedic violence of Kick-Ass. Is this just the child of those sort of two films? Maybe is the answer. Is maybe, because it just didn't quite have the tone right for me. Because obviously, the idea obviously behind this film is that Eisenberg is completely unaware of what is going on, because he has no idea he's a spy, and he's suddenly being able to... all these agents are coming at him, trying to kill him, and he's suddenly experiencing fantastic knowledge and fantastic abilities to fight them off, and he has no idea why this is. He thinks he's just an absolute loser. That's supposed to be where the comedic effect is supposed to be in play, isn't it? Throughout the film, I'm going to say at the most I laughed 3 or 4 times, and that is not enough, is it? That is not enough for this type of film. It's not a long film either. That's probably a good thing, in my opinion, because, like I said, it has the wantings to be like something like Kick-Ass, which is taking a genre, in Kick-Ass's case the superhero genre, and giving it a different twist to it and different tone to it. And that is what American Ultra is trying to do here with the spy genre, in a way, or the sleeper agent, if there's a sleeper agent genre, if you will, and give it a bit more of a kick, if you will, a different angle. And it just doesn't for me, it just doesn't succeed. And other than myself thinking it's lazy writing, because the actors on show, I'm just going to list you some of the actors other than Eisenberg and Stewart themselves. Now, Topher Grace, Connie Britton, John Leguizamo, Walton Goggins, Bill Pullman, and Tony Hale. Now, there is some talented individuals in that cast, but it does ultimately feel very much like this sort of film should be a B movie, but it's almost actors that are looking for a job, isn't it? And other than Eisenberg in the lead role with Kristen Stewart alongside him, Eisenberg just seems to be replaying roles he has played previously, that geek persona, if you will, only he's playing a geek inside of an agent's body, if you will. So, Stewart's fine. Kristen Stewart is fine. I'm not a biggest fan, but I do believe and understand from reading reviews that in recent films since Twilight, she has been very, very good. She's picking her roles very well. This just seems to be a slight slip back into, not monotony, but wasting her talents is probably the best way of putting it. So, yeah. It's like I say, if I had not seen many of these other films before, American Ultra probably would be fine. But that is it. It is just fine. It's not particularly bad. It's just, oh, I've seen that before. I've seen this before. Oh, I've seen that also before. And I've seen this done funnier. That sort of stuff. So, it's fine and unoriginal, in my opinion. And like I said, what the previous films, when I mentioned things like Bourne and Kick-Ass, and even something like Scott Pilgrim, it did something. What it did was it took known genres and gave them their own unique twist, or even styles. Particularly with the Bourne films, it had its own style, and it birthed even a new generation of making films. But American just does seem completely half-baked. Like, it's took ideas from other films and just tried to rehash them, and for me, it's just not quite worked. Yeah. It's fine, but unoriginal. Is my ultimate review of that film. So, I don't think I can really say much more about it, really. Max Landis was the writer of the film, and I think did he write Chronicle? Chronicle also I did enjoy when I first saw it, but it did require a bit more. I wasn't massively impressed with the writing. I was more interested in the idea more than anything else. So, work to be done. Max Landis, says me, who has never written anything in my life. But obviously I can have an opinion. So yeah, what can I say more than that? Yeah, there we go. It was quite disappointing. I didn't go in with any sort of massive expectation. It was just sort of, yeah, I've seen this before. And I've seen so many movies in this sort of genre this year as well, particularly in the spy genre and the sleeper agent genre. And some of those films have done the comedic aspects brilliantly well. Kingsman is exactly that, isn't it? Because Kingsman was directed by Matthew Vaughn, who directed Kick-Ass. So, and he's got the tone right again, in my opinion. That spoofing of the Bond genre, if you will, whereas they're trying to sort of spoof the Bourne sort of idea, if you will. And it doesn't quite have the same effects or work as well. So yeah, there we go. American Ultra. Yeah, there we go. So my classic film of the week is completely at the other end of genres and acting and brilliant filmmaking. And the film is the 1967 prison drama film Cool Hand Luke, which stars Paul Newman. And for me, this is one of Paul Newman's finest films. Now, we all know Paul Newman loves to play a rebel. And this probably could be his defining sort of rebel film? Yeah, I think if it isn't, it's my favourite at least, anyway. The film opens with Paul Newman, bottle of alcohol in hand, smashing parking meters. Just because he clearly has nothing better to do. He is accosted by the law and sent to prison. What occurs during this time is a series of rebellious acts. Him trying to push the guards and push the wardens as far as he can without getting any sort of retribution, is that the word? Back in his direction. This film obviously was made in 1967, so that sort of theme of rebellion and anti-establishment is was very rife, considering obviously the time period it was in, during to do with the Vietnam War and things like that. So it's a very well-timed piece of filmmaking, and it's a very interesting character study as well, because you really don't know anything about Paul Newman's character at all, other than this streak of rebellion and his rebellious nature. Clearly, it's hitting out at something that he has missed in his life, but you don't really know what that is exactly. During his time in prison, at first obviously he's on his own. Because of his rebellious nature, he's not wanting to simulate with many other people in the prison. There's already sort of a head honcho in there, if you will, who is played by George Kennedy, who incidentally won a Best Supporting Actor Oscar for his role in this film. And it's a great role. It's great moments of comedy in this film as well, just George Kennedy with Paul Newman. Them working against each other is really, really well done. And so he's sort of the head honcho, George Kennedy, in this prison. Because he's a bit of a mouthy git, Paul Newman, he gets into a bit of trouble with George Kennedy's character, and they eventually have like a bare fist prison yard fight. But George Kennedy is a massive guy. He's a massive guy, and he just keeps knocking Paul Newman down. But Luke Newman's character just refuses to stay down. So every time he gets up, Kennedy just knocks him down again. And it gets to the point where his character is saying, just stay down. What are you doing? Just stay down, because I'm just going to keep hitting you down. And it gets to the point where Kennedy stops and goes, this is just not worth my while anymore, because he will not stay down. And through that sort of act and his resilient nature, he gains the respect of George Kennedy's character and fellow prison inmates, if you will, which accumulates in the the infamous boiled egg scene. I hope it's boiled egg. Our boiled egg eating scene where he claimed he could eat 50 in a period of time. Was it in an hour? I think it was in an hour. And it's a great comedic moment of cinema. It's brilliantly done. Yeah. So they form a friendship and they form quite a unique team. And in doing so, they sort of work together more against the prison guards and prison wardens. But obviously at some point it's going to go too far, and it does. And there's then the rather infamous scene and infamous line of dialogue where the warden has finally had enough, and he says this now infamous scene where it's, what we have here is failure to communicate, and he reveals off a rather great speech, and it's brilliantly done, and is a moment of cinema history, isn't it, really? And during this time also, he had a visit from his mother, Paul Newman, and who was dying, and he very soon gets information that she has died. And during this obviously rather peak of rebellion, he also then, the warden thinks, he might try to escape, so he is imprisoned in the box, if you will call it, and it's then like the guards trying to crush him, and it is a relentless film from that point on, and is quite disparate and hard to watch. The film itself is brilliant drama, it has great moments of comedy. It's It has a great sound to it. It has a great look to it. The cinematography is wonderful. The characters are great and they're enjoyable to it. Their company is enjoyable. And it's interesting to see how the guards' relationships develop with Newman, and at the beginning of the film and at the end of the film. It is a piece of great filmmaking, and it's one of those films that is a pure character study in watching an individual, and it is a great film directed by Stuart Rosenberg. Yeah, it's just a great film, Cool Hand Luke, and it's everybody should watch it. There we go. I think everybody should watch it. There we go. So there we go. Yes, yep. Cool Hand Luke was my classic film of the week. Certainly is a classic. My theatrically released film of the week was American Ultra. Yeah, it was American Ultra, wasn't it? I'll say no more. Thank you if you have for watching, and I hope you subscribe, and I hope to see and speak to you again very soon. Thank you very much for watching, and goodbye.